Welcome to this webinar of Dheya. A very warm welcome to all of you here. Let me first introduce myself. My name is Naveen Badrinarayan. I work with Dheya Career Mentors, and more importantly, for this webinar, my qualification is that I am a parent of two children, two lovely children. One is in 12th standard and is in 10th standard. So you can understand, what parenting I must be going through, and therefore I qualify myself for this webinar. And I would like to say that I am proud to say that both my kids, though they are very different, but till date, they have not gone for a single tuition class or a coaching class, and both of them are pretty good in their academics as well as whatever they love to do. So with that, a brief introduction of mine, and of course I have a background of being in the defense forces for about 21 years, and last 4 years I've been with Dheya doing a lot of mentoring work and working with a lot of parents and students and developing a lot of educational products, trying to pass on whatever best we can to the entire world. So that's a bit about me. Today's session I'm going to be conducting in about say 20-25 minutes. I'm going to be talking about something that we are coming up with as a launch product in there, and about how to build habits in our children. And let me talk a little bit about it. So as I start this thing, I'm just going to be opening up a little bit of a poll. Okay, so I've got some polls out here. I'm just starting to poll. So just you can answer these questions. Do your children procrastinate when it comes to studies, homework, exam preparation, and all? You can just answer yes or no. It's a simple poll. I've opened up the three polls here. I think there's a problem with the. Okay. So it's still going on it. Okay. Anyway, I'll continue. The poll is available. You can poll on it. In the meantime, I'll continue. So let's start talking about this whole process about what every parent today wants. Let's understand a little bit about it. Obviously, we all want our children to become something in life. Every one of us, one thing that we want. If you ask a person of our age who's having children studying in anywhere up of seventh, eighth standard, there's a lot of thoughts that our parents start thinking about what the child would like to become. They want them to become something great, something big, earn, be financially independent. Settle down is a very common word. The normal seeds of beliefs that we have is, if you study well, if you get good marks, if you do well in your studies, you would get a good job. If you get a good job, you will get a lot of money, you will get a lot of respect, and also you will get married to a good get a good spouse, and then you will have good children, and so on and so forth. So that's the kind of a story that has been told to us, and the way we have been brought up is that. So, and obviously make your parents proud, be respected, and most importantly be happy, right? This is something that all parents, I would say, would want, right? So this is a kind of a thing that we want. Now let's understand what are the expectations today. If you look at parents' expectations from a child, what are the expectations that we have? Obviously, every parent wants that the child should get good academic results, no doubts about it. All of us want our children to perform very well, going with the same story that we had heard from our childhood, that if you get good marks, you get a good admission in a college, and then you get a good job, and then so on and so forth. And obviously we'd like to excel in what they do. Yes, and this I do not know how much, whether they really enjoy their learning or not, and whether they really study on their own or not, and what is the future of the child, which is going to be good. So ultimately, we all expect our children to have a very happy and a very fulfilled life, and of course, a lot of value in that life, a meaningful life. I think you would all agree with me on this, right? As regards and expectations of a parent from a child. So this is something that's common to most of the parents, and we all want this, right? Now, what are the parents stressed about today? When I look at people in my society, people around me, and we be dealing with a lot of parents when we do this work with students and parents and professionals, when we do mentoring, and we see that we parents are generally talking about a lot about academics, a lot about why the children are not happy doing studies. There's a lot of peer pressure when it comes to selecting a subject or studying something or getting marks in exams, or what is their future going to be, what they are going to do in the future. So there's a lot of the discussion which happens on this. Ultimately, there's a lot of pressure from the market to put them into coaching classes, foundation programs. Why? Because they have to get marks. And somewhere there's a belief that the studies is not completely covered in the school, so there needs to be an external help. So most of the children today, when we were young, tuitions was only meant for people who were dumb. So if I went for tuition, I felt ashamed about it. Today it's the other way around, that everybody needs to go for tuition because we believe that the school is not able to give them the necessary concepts or systems, and therefore they need to go to the coaching class or the tuition class. And ultimately it's all about that one thing called, they should get good marks, they have to perform so that they get into the right good colleges and they get higher studies which is worthy of making a good life for them. Again, going back to the same story, that good marks is equal to good entrance into colleges is equal to good life. So that's something that's kind of ingrained into us, and that's what most parents think, right? And just understand. Now let's look at this. We did a small calculation. What is the kind of investment? Now I'm putting a financial calculation here. I'm not saying that finance is the only thing. I have not talked about the emotions that we invest, the time that we invest, which I think is more important than this. But yes, this is a kind of an eye opener when I put the value of the finance that goes into one child's education, and we actually calculate it. It goes to more than a crore of rupees. So well, we are investing a huge amount of finance into our children's education. That thing, we need to be cognizant of this fact. But not only this is just pure education. Let's look at the we are talking about, if I look at, we have put in the books, the transportation, the fees, put everything in together, and I'm taking a approximate view. This could be up and down, but generally we have seen about a crore of rupees is a decent estimation of how much we spend for our child. Apart from the regular fees, we also spend money on the tuition fees and coaching classes. So this is the kind of investment that we are making on our children's education. And if we look at this huge amount that is getting invested, and this is only the money, but if you look at a child in going to school, coming back, going to coaching class, coming back from tuition, and preparing, doing homeworks, the amount of time, energy, and emotions that get invested into education is way beyond the finance that we are talking about. Because remember, we are talking about how the child's energy levels, we're talking about a child's growth, a lot of other factors which I'm going to be covering as the time goes by. But we have to keep the finance also in mind, right? So all these factors, if we keep it in mind, let's understand. Most of us are parents. We are all sitting here as parents, and we are, if you see why the children don't like to study today, because there is a problem. If I look at my children also in studying in 10th and 12th, there is a problem with the whole education system, which is kind of telling them that you have to study this. So there is a curriculum, there are 5 subjects or 6 subjects, and whatever is being taught has to be learned. So it's like, whether you like it or not, you have to lump it. So this is the education system which all of us have also grown learning. Somewhere we have not questioned it, and I don't think it's possible to change it also. So I'm not saying that it's everything is wrong about it. I'm not saying that for a while, but what I'm trying to say is, for a child's mind, when somebody is being forced onto somebody, today's children are too smart. But then what happens is, because their smart mind is not getting the answers to their questions, those stages are getting bored. So there's a huge amount of boredom in today's studies. With the children, you see they are quite bored doing the studies. Of course, there's a lot of distraction. I mean, I don't need to, it's a no-brainer that you look at a kid today. Most of them, when they come back from school, they are onto the mobile, they're onto their apps, their games, or they're onto the computer. That's a huge distraction. And obviously their friends, and chatting with their friends on Instagram and all that is also a big distraction, which of course is one of the things that is talked about in most forums today. They say, how do we get them out of the distraction? Now, the third thing is that, the entire education system is telling them what to study. There is a curriculum that you have to study this, you have to study this. There's a huge books, there are a lot of material given, but nobody is trying to tell the kid or the child why they need to study. That why, the connecting the dot is not there. The second thing is, how do I study it? I mean, you can tell him to study physics, maths, chemistry, science, social studies, whatever, Hindi, English, but then how do they go about it? What is the methodology? Is there somebody talking about it? But generally what happens is, every kid has got a simple fundamental. I have to rote learn, and I have to go and cram everything, and I have to reply whatever the teacher is expecting me to reply so that I get good marks. So everything is focused on performance in examinations. So the tuition classes, the coaching classes, the time spent, everything is focused on one single thing called marks in exams. And that's how the studies is happening. And no wonder any kid whose brain is working very smartly is going to get bored, because you are expecting that smart kid to just rote learn and reproduce. So that's the kind of a system that is there today. And you look at the generation, smart generation today. You see, I'm giving some slides out here. Class test, circle the smallest number. Now, the child is confused. Now, this is the smartness of some children, and they're very creative. They come up with their own ideas. I mean, that's how it is. So these children are smart. Now, whether we come from an old school of thought that whenever teacher says something or the school says something, we just got to follow it. But if you look at the present generation today, they are questioners, and it's good that they are questioning. So my question now is, what I mean, are we happy about this product of ours called the children? Do we want to make them a Chatur Ramalingam or Panchuk Wunglu or whatever that name was? That the movie, The Three Idiots that we saw. So now we have seen that, but still somewhere down the line, subconsciously, we are trying to make a Chatur Ramalingam out of every kid of ours. Unfortunately, the education system still believes. But in our entire professional life today, there's not a single career. There's not a single career where you have to have a good handwriting. Handwriting and writing is just not relevant anymore in careers in today's world. But still, every Indian examination system today is talking about writing, and that is being evaluated. So handwriting has to be good to get good marks, because the teacher has to understand. If it is not legible, how do they understand it? Most of the European countries and the developed countries have changed over to the tab, and in keeping with the digital systems. But we are still hanging on to the old concept, because of which we can't avoid our children having to practice to write. Therefore they have to rote learn, therefore they have to write, because marks is one of the measurements that is very critical. So this is the system today. Okay, now what are we talking about? I'm saying that we are talking about introducing something called study skills. Subject point of view, it's more a self-learning program. Can I make a child capable? The way my children I'm talking about today, I've never even told them, even today when they're studying in 10th and 12th, I never tell them to study. They're learning on their own, and they have their own methods. The both of them have absolutely their own methods to learn, because they're completely different. One is a North Pole and a South Pole as far as their behaviors are concerned, their styles are concerned, absolutely different. But they like to learn on their own, in their own method, in their own way, in their own time, and what they want to learn, how they want to learn. Everything is different. Now, if we look at it, children learn. Can we make them children learn on their own? Can we make them enjoy their studies? It's no longer a burden. That's a big challenge. I understand that, because how do you make them enjoy a studies which is boring, which they have to learn? So that's a big challenge. Of course, there are certain methods, certain ways in which we can do it. I'll be talking about it. Can we make them study in a way that they are studying smart and they're learning and gaining knowledge, not just reproducing or not just putting something into a paper? Can we make them study in a way that they have enough time to do what they love to do, for example, sports or extracurricular activities, while preparing for that, which is what my children even today are doing. Though they have a board exam on their head, you will find them playing every day, find them doing what they love to do every day. Even during the exams, they do go and play for a 1 hour, 1.5 hours to get their energies on, and there's absolutely no problem, because it's not that a person has to be studying for such a long period of time. The way the education system, or the people in the education system have been sometimes telling the children that it's very important to spend so many hours studying, the poor children lose all energy, they become lethargic. It's not requirement. There's not, that kind of stress is unwarranted. So can the children be stress free? Can they be happy? Also, can they do well in their exams, prepare for the exams, being at ease? The problem that we're trying to solve here is, can I remove anxiety completely from the mind of a child and the mind of the parents? That's something that is our main vision or mission that we are working on. How do we do it? What do we do? So we're saying that, let's improve the child's self-learning skills. Now, what are these self-learning skills and how can we do it is what this whole program that we are launching is all about, which I'm going to be showing to you and explaining to you as to what this program is all about and how we are going to be utilizing it. Okay. So it's called Dheya Adhyayan. It's a Sanskrit word and says the study skills program, where we are talking about building self-learning habits in children in the age group of 10 to 15 years, who would act, because this is the right age to build habits in them. Of course, this is applicable for children even grade 16 years to 24 years, but we first launching it at the age group of 10 to 15 because this is the right age to build in the habits of the children. And once this gets inside their blood, they're going to live their life with these values and habits. So that's the kind of impact that we are, expecting from this program, which we find it very, very powerful and impactful. What do we do in this? Now let's understand the existing scenario. Now I said that education systems gives us an academic input. If you see in the blue triangle there, it gives an academic input of what to study, the subjects, the curriculum, the topics. It's all there. Now in every child there are a lot of variables. On the left hand side, if you see the variables, we call them as the every child has got multiple intelligences. Now the IQ theory has been challenged, if you know today, and there is a Howard Gardner's multiple intelligence theory in which every child has got different kind of an intelligence. And even Howard Gardner says that he had mentioned 8 intelligences, but then he says there could be many more. For example, there could be digital intelligence. So there is musical intelligence, kinesthetic intelligence, physical intelligence. There are so many different kinds of intelligences that can be there in a child, and we have to identify their multiple intelligences, what they are predominantly having with them. There are different learning styles of children. Some children are kinesthetic, some children are visual, some children are auditory. Now we need to identify that because their way of learning is going to be different. Every child has got his own way of learning something. Unfortunately, the schooling or class system puts everybody into one box and everybody is supposed to listen to the teacher, write notes and learn. Maybe that's not the technique for every child. Every child is different. So can we know that? Personalities and interests of every child are different. That's a no-brainer. We need to understand there are some children who are very restless. There are some children who are very, very quiet and sit in one place. There are some children who just are aggressive and pushy and they demand what they want to demand. There's some children who are very stable, very methodical, very soft. Everybody is different. Now we need to tackle each person, different strokes for different folks. You cannot use a common formula for a class of 30, 40 people. Individualized treatment is very critical. Okay, learning capabilities are different. Some children learn slow, some children are medium, some children are fast. Now, you look at a combination of all these parameters put together, we come with so many permutations and combinations. Most importantly, the self-esteem or self-worth is something that's generally never checked at all, and that's something is a very primary factor that I believe is in a child, which is going to drive the child to achieve something in life. Because if the self-worth is not there, the child is not going to be motivated to work towards some goal, right? The self-belief and self-esteem is a very important factor, which is more intrinsic than external. Of course, the external environment affects it, but then if we embolden or bolster that self-esteem of a person or self-worth of a child, wonders can happen. These children can actually produce wonders. Unfortunately, these variables are in the dark. None of these variables are being checked, and just the what to study is being enforced onto the children, and the standard method of rote learning, forced study, and without motivation, just cramming things, and outcome is get marks. This is the existing scenario in the education system today. What you see in black is it's kind of a negative thing because it's in the dark. It's being forced upon somebody. And imagine a child being forced that I have to study this, I have to study that. What are we talking about is, if I'm able to identify these variables, and if the child is able to discover these variables and believe in himself or herself, saying that yes, this is what I am, this is how I am going to work, and this is my style of working, and I'm proud about it, and I know why I have to study, and I know where I'm going to reach because of these studies. That's the process that we're talking about. I'll come on the process later on. So what essentially happens is, instead of the academic what to study, just moving on to get marks, we talk about identifying potential of a child, identifying goals, identifying the importance of why you're doing what you're doing, and building a lot of motivation and interest to do something in life and set their own goals in life. And what the outcome comes out of it is academic excellence. That means, of course, marks are going to come, no doubts about it. They're going to get good marks because they have a basic understanding and knowledge and learning of what they are doing. It's just not rote learning. Second is, the academic excellence is going to come with a lot of knowledge. They're going to be smart learners. They don't have to be spending donkeys hours just cramming up information and information overloading information onto themselves and trying to reproduce it. Rather, they have smart ways of learning things in their own way and saving a lot of time so that they're able to do what they like to do. They can actually go and play, and actually the energy level builds up because of that. And then, most importantly, the one value or skill that we believe will get into a child because of all this is called self dependency. No longer dependent on an external system of tuitions or coaching. Of course, there could be a personal tutor in case they need to understand a concept. I'm not saying that everything they can understand, but then it would be restricted, and that person will be more like a facilitator than like an enforcer or a person who's putting knowledge into their head to reproduce something. So that's something that we are talking about, and it's a very big value that gets added on when you see a child becoming completely independent and self-dependent, taking decisions on their own, doing things on their own, studying on their own, and being excited about it, as well as doing what they love to do. So this is the entire program that we are talking about. What is the process that we talk about? This process, what we are going to use here, is called the 4D model. The 4Ds that I'm describing here is called discovery. Now, what happens in discovery is that there are assessments by which we identify all these variables that I talked about in the previous slide. I talked about identifying the learning styles, multiple intelligences, their choices, their interests, their personalities, their the skills that they hold, also their the learning capability and the learning styles. When you put all these variables into place and they discover themselves, so we run some activities with them by which these kids actually discover what they are, and they feel good about the critical step, because this is directly connected to the self-worth of the person. And let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, self-worth and self-esteem are two major contributors to any kind of energy that a person has to put in his life towards achieving anything. So success and performance is directly connected to the self-worth and the intelligence, or the self, it's a formula, for success in life. The self-worth multiplied by the ability or held with the child, or the aptitude with the child, multiplied by the efforts put in. Now, when the efforts are going to be put in, obviously, they have to be motivated to put in that efforts. When the self-worth goes up and they see a direction which is connected to what they want to do, the motivation comes in and the effort goes in there, automatically you see excellence coming in their performance. So that's why discovery is a very critical part of it, in the base of the entire program. Once the discovery is done and the child knows that, okay, I'm this kind of a person, then we said, okay, let's build a desire to do something in life. So setting up goals, why goal setting is important, what is the concept of a goal, what is the goal for you, how the goal is to be set, and then feeling excited about reaching somewhere in the future is the next step. That's building the desire. Once the desire is built to reach a goal, then we say, let's design the path to reach the goal. So what kind of a path? How do you do planning? What are the ways in which you'll plan your path, you plan your time? Why time management is important? Why self dependency is important? Why you should be very focused on what you're doing, focused concentration on what you do? What are the ways in which you can optimize the time that you spend? What are the strategies that you can use? What are the techniques that you can use? All this comes in the design. And finally, when they implement it through activities and through repeated performances with practice and practice and practice, they develop themselves. So this entire process of the program that we are going to run is divided into these 4Ds, and we have designed a program which is using behavioral labs, activity driven, with a lot of practice, that we're going to inculcate these habits and skills into these children's lives and into their blood. So that's what we're talking about. How are we going to go about it? So we have theoretical sessions, practical sessions, and logical sessions. So we have a lot of techniques that are going to be covered in this, like mind mapping, identifying the for the auditory kids, visual kids, and kinesthetic kids. There are different kind of programs. They'll be divided into groups, and different activities will be there with them depending on what kind of a learning style they hold. Memorization techniques, which is one small part of it, which is of course necessary in today's examination system. It's a small part of it which we will be covering, and it's a we use mnemonics, and there are certain mind map techniques and all that which are used, which is going to ease out or give them a strategy to do their studies. Strategic planning, very critical. How do you plan for learning something? How do you learn something, and why is it important to have a plan in place at all? That's something that they're going to be learning about it. So automatically, even if it is, forget about studies, even if they have to go for an outing, or they have to go for a picnic, or they have to go for any kind of an event, they'll start thinking about using these tools to do a plan. So they're putting these habits into their blood early in life, will enable them to start
implementing it in their life in a very happy manner because they would like to do it. So we have to make them excited about using these techniques so that they find some joy in what they are doing. So that's what we're talking about. So that's how the skills are to be enhanced. Now it's going to be very intensive because we have to work with them, we have to engage with them, and there only that value system is going to get imbibed into their blood. And this is how we're going to build a lot of habits and values. And what are the habits and values that we are focusing on? They should be independent decision makers, they're self driven, they're creative thinkers, and they have an attitude of never say die. I would not quit. I'm going to not give up. I'll keep trying. So, we are building a lot of, I would say a kind of an entrepreneurial mindset saying that let's, do things, let's achieve things in life. It's more outcome based than just process based. Most of us grew up, saying that if you follow the process, you'll get the result. We kind of build this idea into them that you're going to focus on an outcome, focus on a goal, and put your plan in place to achieve the goal. So the goal becomes very critical, or the direction or destination becomes very critical whenever we do this kind of a work. So what is the outcome of this program? What are we expecting? So first thing is that we are building them knowledge as to, what do you call, why to study, first of all, the motivation to study, and the how to study. How can I use techniques, strategies, and do self-learning? I don't need to be, rote learning and cramming everything. So they'll be learning new skills and strategies to optimize the study time, build a lot of excitement into their life, and they'll actually be motivated to learn through the academic route as to what this thing is, why am I need to study the subject, what am I, how do I learn it, and they themselves become inquisitive and they question a lot and they learn from it. So that's something that's going to be an outcome of this. So you'll see them, they start questioning everything, and they'll start probing and they'll start investigating, and there'll be a lot of excitement in their eyes when they talk about some topic or they are looking at all any kind of a book or a subject. So this is the values and habits of self learning that we are going to be inculcating during this program. Okay. Now, what are the features of this program? Of course, it's meant for children who are aged 10 to 15 years. The activities or, the entire, it's a 32 hours program, which is going to be run in 4 weekends. So we're going to have every Saturday and Sunday, so Saturday afternoon and Sunday mornings, 4 hours on Saturday afternoon, 4 hours on Sunday morning. And the entire program will be completed in these 8 sessions. In these 8 sessions, there will be game-based activities. Each of these activities have been very scientifically designed using behavioral tools. So there are simulations, there are games, there are forums of discussion and activities with a lot of workbooks and charts and material which is going to be used with them. And they'll be given a lot of assignments in between. On Saturday and Sunday, and between the next Saturday and Sunday, there'll be certain assignments that will be given which they're going to use whatever they have learned in their day-to-day life, and they're going to come back and we're going to build it on. So that's the kind of work that we're going to be doing in this program of 32 hours. Okay. The flow of the program is as shown in the slide. We have 8 sessions totally, in which the first session will be focused on, discovery. I told about the first D, about, discovering myself and building a clarity of purpose as to why learning is important. Why and what is learning? Learning necessarily is not just studying to get marks. Now, differentiating between the process of learning and just studying to get marks is going to be amplified and put very clearly into the mind that yes, marks are important, but along with marks, the learning is even more important. There are some activities that we're going to do with them to make them realize this. So that's something, and then building a lot of motivation into them, feeling good about themselves, discovering themselves using different kind of tools of assessment, and saying that yes, this is my strength, this is what I'm good at, this is how I am, this is how I can do my work. So that's the kind of a thing that we're going to focus on. Then we're going to move on to the thing of, how do I use my strengths to, get excited towards learning something, and what kind of a goal should I set for myself, and why should I set that goal? That's going to be the second thing. And the third onwards, we say, okay, if this is my style and this is my goal, then what are the different kind of approaches that I can take to learning? We're going to focus on that. Then we move on to different techniques of mind mapping, knowledge tree, and a lot of such techniques which have been developed scientifically using games and activities, which they're going to be learning in 2 days in those 8 hours time. And once they learn it, they're going to be practicing it. We're going to give them a lot of assignments to practice these techniques. And then we talk about removing distractions. So we talk about why somebody procrastinates and why procrastination or wasting time can be a big debacle in these formative years of life, and how do you actually focus yourself? Why is it important to focus yourself in doing what you love to do in your way of doing it, towards achieving your goal. Okay, so then we talk about, we talk about the examination fears, getting rid of the stress, and then we have a grand finale. And in all this, we're going to be involving the parents too in the beginning and in the end. So we're going to be conducting a parents orientation and a workshop so that the parents actually understand why, what we are doing, and how we are going to go about this entire program, and what kind of a support we would be needing of the parents. Obviously, when we are handling children at this age, the parent support is absolutely required. So we're going to be talking about that. In the grand finale, the parents are going to be invited, and you're going to be actually seeing the transformation of your kid, and actually the values that they have learned. They're going to be seeing or demonstrating that. And of course, after that, the handholding is going to continue. So we are not going to do a session and leave it at that. The whole aim is to ensure that this thing has gone into the blood of the child. We're going to be working with you as a community, as a family, and say, let's see how we can help you as a family to, move ahead in life and let the child achieve their goals with a lot of happiness and value. That's the whole program about. So how is going to happen? There's going to be pre-program assessments. So we have the various assessments that we're going to be conducting. They're small assessments. It will take approximately about 2 hours to complete these assessments. Once that is done, then we'll be having this 32 hours program, where we have already told you about the introduction, the discovery of the self, the building motivation, where the desire is being built up, the exam strategies, self-learning strategies, and developing a lot of skills and putting a plan and a design in place so that they can actually start walking the path to reach their goal. So this is the entire program that is going to be there, which is, I'll repeat, it is meant for children aged 10 to 15 years. It is going to be a 32 hours program run over weekends on Saturdays and Sundays. It's 4 hours each on each day. And this would be, covering the entire aspect of getting them to become self-dependent on self-learning skills, building a lot of strategies, optimizing their time, and feeling happy and excited about the whole concept of learning something. So it's a learning to learn program is what I would put it aptly, right? So what is the deliverables that we'll be doing? Of course, there'll be assessments. The reports will be there with you. There are going to be workbooks that are given to each of these students. There'll be daily entries in it. There'll be a lot of chart work done by them. There'll be a lot of activities done by them and some assignments given to them. The outcome of learning will be, discussed with the parents, and a lot of feedback should be taken to ensure that, things are actually working the way they're supposed to work. There'll be a lot of hand holding also post the session. So that's how this whole program has been designed, and we are launching this program presently in Pune, in the area of Aund. So we are launching this program, very soon. So all across the country to launch it in various places. As you know, Dheya has been working all across India. We have our mentors in all the places across India, and we would love to do this work everywhere. And we'll be training a lot of people into, this program so that we can conduct it across the country. With this, I finish my part of the presentation, and I'll open the house for question and answers. I would love to answer any kind of question that you would like to answer. Yeah, I've got a question here. What kind of research has gone into your program? Very good question, and I would love to answer this. We have been into this work for the last 12 years, and we have been dealing with a lot of parents and students across the country, and we have been working a lot with career development and doing a lot of skill programs with them. So we are using a lot of positive psychology tools called appreciative inquiry when we do this work. So all our activities and tools have been designed using appreciative inquiry, and we have found it working wonders with the kids that we have dealt with. We've done a lot of programs in schools, in colleges, and with retail customers, with young children, and each of those programs have been we have got huge positive testimonials as to what they are doing today. These kind of programs are not, you don't see the output immediately, but then you see the value systems changing. It takes a little bit of time, but they are intangible, but they are very deep, and you see the kids getting excited and they start doing things. Today we have a longitudinal study of so many students who have been with us. Of course, we don't stake claim that we have done something to them. They are today doing it because of their own capabilities. Yes, we were there to just support them at the right time. So that's the kind of work that has gone on. I would not say theoretical research. We are more practitioners. We've been working on the ground, and we have had a lot of success with our children, and that's why we said let's design a program and make it available to the entire country. Yeah, I'm enabling the attendee mics, so you could ask your questions.
The session is also being recorded, so we would make the recording available. There is also, handout which is available, so you can download the handout of the brochure of Dheya Adhyayan. So you could use the handout to understand the entire program. Yeah, the course commercials, yes, it is. We are charging 500 rupees an hour, so the total cost comes to 16,000 rupees. So that's the course fee. Yes. Any other questions, please? No, I said appreciative inquiry is the tool. Answering Ratna Kumar Kancheria's question, the tool is called Positive Psychology and Appreciative Inquiry, which is the main basis of the entire work we do. Okay. Any other questions that I'd like to ask? I'll just repeat that we are launching the program in Aund in Pune. And those of you who are from Pune, you would like to register, you can get in touch with Priya Srinivasan. Priya, you could probably type in your mobile number here on the chat. People can get in touch with you. Yes, Mahesh will be starting up in once we finish our batch in Pune, and we have launched the model officially in Pune. Then we will be spreading it across the country. We have a big chapter in Delhi, and we have a lot of our mentors there. So we'll definitely take it up in Delhi very soon. We'll inform you as soon as we launch the program. Absolutely, Ratna Kumar. I will ensure that you get the brochure. I have put a handout here. You can take the handout, you can download the handout, and I'll ask Priya to share the brochures and details with you, all of you. We have got your contacts with us through the webinar. So we'll be sharing all the details with you. You can surely spread the word around, and we would love to work with more and more people. Yes, at Hyderabad also, we'll be launching it. We have a very big center, a group of mentors in Hyderabad. So we'll be doing work there too all across India. So, are namely the main cities of India: Bangalore, Chennai, Delhi, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Kolkata. We are all over the places. Mahesh, as I said, success is a very eluding term. When you talk about success, everybody's success definition is different. I can definitely tell you one thing, that we are completely a positive, strength-based organization. So when we deal with kids and parents, we bring in a lot of happiness on the table. We bring in a lot of positivity. So if that's the measure of success, we have been 100% successful. Yes, not everybody is able to get what they want. Not everybody gets into IIT, or not everybody gets into this, but everybody has done what they like to do, what they enjoy doing. So that's something that we kind of align with. That you find a kid. So there have been guys who have today, people are 9 years back, 10 years back, there was a guy who dropped out of college, and today he's 28 years of age and running his own entrepreneurship without a single qualification, but running a successful entrepreneurship with more than 40, 50 people. So that's one story. On the other side, we have a guy who's a complete patient of alopecia, who came in because he had actually a very aggressive kind of a person, but today he cracked the medical exam, and he's in the final year of his medical college today in Bangalore, doing very well. He was on a all India rank number 12. So that is also there. So we have got all across, there are a lot of success stories. And as I said, we don't stake claim that we are responsible for those stories, because it is those children's work. It is the work of theirs, their capability, that has taken them there. We are just guardians. We are just mentors who've been giving them a little bit of direction. That's it. They have been working hard. So we would not like to stake claim that it is because of us or something like that. But yes, if you're talking about happiness, success stories are, it's 100% for us. Sure, why not? We can do that. You can share your LinkedIn profile. Perfect. So Anurag, we would love to, get everybody connected on LinkedIn, and and I've also started a meetup called, the same this thing. So I'll also share the details. I'll ask Priya to share the details of the meetup. This thing on the meetup, we could be part of this my group, and we can discuss more on this. And we'll be very happy to share a lot of updates that keep happening on the work that we are doing. It'll be exciting to impact a lot of people and help people across India. I think if there are no further questions, then I'll thank you all for being here, spending your valuable time listening to me. Thank you so much for being part of this session. I'd like to wish you all the very best, and please do spread the word around. And if you have children who would like to register for the program, please do share your interest with us. Right. So you can tweet this webinar. You can share hashtag is hashtag Dheyaism. Okay. And hashtag Dheya. Thank you so much. Wish you all the very best.